This week on Real Reactions, we are covering the Netflix rom-com Always Be My Maybe, starring Ali Wong and Randall Park. And fun fact, they also wrote the screenplay. The movie was well received by critics and audiences for breaking Hollywood's stereotypical representation of Asian American characters in film. It tells the story of two childhood friends, actually sweethearts, reconnecting after 15 years. Sasha is a wealthy celebrity chef, and Marcus is exactly how Sasha left him in high school, smoking and playing in a no-name band. And that's the beauty of this film. It is funny, romantic, and relatable.
I'm surprised you two lost touch. You used to be so close.
So, when's the big wedding day?
He wants to travel a bit before we settle down. It's really for the both of us.
I finally realized that I don't want to get married.
Are you kidding me? You're a piece of shit!
I can tell you're a little...
I hope you get malaria and shit yourself to death, you shitty piece of shit!
A little softer, please. You are scaring the goats.
I guess I have to start dating again. Ugh, is there anything worse?
You and Marcus are so cute.
No.
Remind me why you never got together?
There's way too much history there.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right, welcome back, everyone. Let's talk about Always Be My Maybe first off. So do you guys think the movie had an original take on the typical childhood friends finding romance plot?
I just want to say I love that she was a successful one. I don't know if that I was the only one that caught that, but I love that she was famous and he was like fixing the AC. I just love that so much because you often see the man being the one that becomes the star or the millionaire or whatever, and the woman just there being an assistant. So I thought it was so nice that the roles were reversed.
Yeah, I thought it was well done. I think they have a really good chemistry. The two leads, thought they played off each other really well. And you gotta love a Keanu Reeves cameo. Like, it's as good as it gets. That's peak cinema.
Something I will say is a personal flaw of mine is that I actually don't watch a lot of rom-coms because I'm not really a huge fan of rom-coms. But this movie was awesome. I love this movie so much. I thought like the story was like pretty good for like a rom-com. I thought it was like definitely up there for me. Like I said, I haven't watched a whole lot. The movie was fucking hilarious. I thought the movie was so funny. There was one joke that did not land for me. Everything else landed. I thought this movie was hysterical. Everyone was good in it. I don't think there was a weak performance. I'm like Catalina this week. I'm Mr. Positive here.
I'm gonna say, John giving a positive review to a rom-com. Like, did the aliens come down and abduct you? Like, I'm thrown through a loop right now.
I loved it so much. I thought it was really good. I gave it a higher review than my roommate. I thought it was great. I really liked it, and I'll definitely watch it again.
So Ali Wong and Randall Park, they're good friends off screen. Do you guys think that chemistry off screen kind of pulled over into their on-screen chemistry? Was that good?
I think it did. And I think that's always easiest, as an actor, when you're close to someone that you're working with, it makes it a lot easier to kind of bring that chemistry to life to your characters, whether it's romantic chemistry, platonic chemistry, or even when you're playing two opposite characters, just to be able to be comfortable with someone like that in a performance. I think it makes it so much better. And I think you could see that in their performance. You could see that they did have chemistry.
It's also so refreshing to just not see like boring, like I am white, but like I'm really sick of seeing white people in rom-coms. Because that's sort of what destroyed the rom-com, because it was super popular. Like we don't realize it because like right when the rom-com dipped, like the superhero movie just like shot up. But like right before we were sort of born or started watching movies, it was the thing. But it just got so boring. It's just like white person after white person, same exact story. Super like the guy has everything and the girl has so it's it was so refreshing to see people of color on screen and their vision. I loved it. And their performances were so great. And I don't think either of their performances would be as good if they didn't have each other to play off of.
So did any scenes stand out to you guys the most?
Keanu. I mean, like that was amazing. That was amazing that they could pull that cameo. That they could, and it's also really funny because like he does not play himself at all. Like he plays like this super like pretentious like stuck-up guy, but in real life, like Keanu is one of the few stars that I actually think is like deep down always a good person, and actually like if you read up on all the stuff that he's done, often with no recognition or anything, he's such a great guy, which makes it even more funny.
I love the scene where they have car sex and then they're in the Burger King and he's like, do I put my arm around you? She's like, no, you don't have to do that. I was like, this definitely happened to them because that was too good. And then, yeah, the Vice Burger scene is awesome. Where he's like, swing at me, bro. He's such a good douche. He's like really pulled it off, I felt. And the Uber pool scene, the Uber pool scene was fire. When they start making out and there's like a guy in front, he's like, I'm over here, let me out.
I thought the ending was really great, that she decided to take all of Judy's recipes and make it into an entire restaurant, which I thought was really great because it definitely shows how she's changed throughout the movie, and also was able to bring her back to her roots. And also the food looks really good, which made me super hungry. So totally craving all of that food.
So I have one last question left. The movie is a great example of politically correct Asian American rom-com by Asian American writers and actors. Do you think Hollywood is making progress when it comes to minority representation?
I mean, progress, yes. We're not there and we're not even close, but if we're at more than we were before, I feel like that is progress of some sort. I definitely think even seeing like the Academy Award nominations this year is a lot better than it was in years past and stuff. So I think slowly, very slowly but surely, we're working to get to a more diverse space in the filmmaking industry.
I definitely agree with Jillian said. I'm going to go on the back of what she said. It's progress forward. And one thing I will say about this movie is, thank God there is not a single like stereotype character in this movie, because that thing is the one thing that annoys me from any movie. It's just there's a stereotype of any race or gender. It's the worst. It's the worst thing you can do. And this movie completely refrains from that, which is such a breath of fresh air. It just feels great to have something that isn't a complete stereotype.
All right, well, thanks for talking about Always Be My Maybe. Now let's move on to talking about Float. The short Float features the first Filipino-American character of Pixar. We see the story of a father and a son who are struggling to fit into their community simply because of being different. At first, instead of feeling proud of being special and unique, they feel forced to hide, and the ending has a beautiful and hopeful twist. So, what did you think of this short film, especially during a time when solidarity with the Asian and Asian American communities is so crucial?
I think it's great to see. It's really, especially in the form of Pixar, I'm really happy that finally there are, like we just reviewed, Soul. There's just, it's so important. I think especially in like kids movies, I'm lucky that like when I was a kid growing up, that I could see myself on the screen in characters, like, not only in their characteristics, but also in how they looked. But it's really, it's just such a beautiful thing that that kids of, I think the lead characters, Filipino people that are Filipino, or just even Always Be My Baby, to be able to see yourself on the screen is such a powerful thing.
I loved that. I don't know if you waited all the way until the end, but in the end it said kind of like a dedication to someone's son, and I think maybe it was from the writer, from the producer, I don't know. But I thought it was very real, like looking at the parents' perspective, like when the dad turns around and he's like, can't you be normal? I feel like a lot of parents go through that, and how difficult it is, to deal with this whole problem. So I thought it was so special that they did that, and so real too.
So the why can't you be normal moment was probably the most heartbreaking of the short film. How did you feel about that scene? Let's go more into that.
I almost cried, and I almost cried talking about it like right now, because I think it's something so heartbreaking, and like I think it's a phrase that comes out of desperation, because if you look at the scene, like the child is like crying and like everyone's looking at them, and you can kind of feel the pressure that the parent is feeling. So I think it's something so real because it comes out of a place of just frustration, where you don't mean what you are saying, but you just let it out because you can't control it.
The fact that it is the only, like, those are the only words, I thought was just so great. I think that's one thing that just Pixar does exceptionally well, especially with their shorts, is just showing through, just like visually, just showing, not telling, just really, they really know how to construct stories, and they know how to like make people feel emotions, especially applied to I did some reading, and I think that it's supposed to be saying that the kid is autistic, I believe, which is just super great to see representation in like a Pixar short film.
I really appreciate that the way they weighed him down was putting the rocks in his backpack. Like it was like the education system that's like makes a uniform sort of product person. I really appreciated that part.
Something else I also really liked about the moment after the line is said is the kid just puts his hoodie off and just is like, he's nothing. You don't see anything about him, and I love how it's being normal basically takes away your personality and you. And then the father carries the child's basically like limp body, like it looks soulless. And I appreciate that this being normal is interpreted that way, and I like how it shows like be yourself, like the usual message. But in like Derek was saying, how it has themes of disabled children and kids on the spectrum, and I really appreciate that story takes a hold of that too.
And I wanted to point out, I feel like I'm talking about this a lot, but then after the child is crying, it's so powerful how they show how big like a parent's love can be, because they go to the swings and then you suddenly see like the little kid smile, and it's like just a little bit of love can go so far. And it's super important for children to receive love from their parents when they're younger. Super important. So I feel like it was so beautiful, and it was so like well handled and well produced, and it was such a like natural but positive situation in the end. So it was so nice.
Well, thank you all for coming and talking about Always Be My Maybe and Float. I will see you all next week. It's important to acknowledge the upsetting reality that an all-Asian-led cast is unfortunately still rare in Hollywood. The Asian community's stereotypical or lack of representation in movies demands serious progress. Hopefully, filmmakers can continue to work hard to make changes against the inequalities in Hollywood. As the cast and crew of Real Reactions, we are an ally to fight against anti-Asian racism. There will be links in the description below for important resources and organizations to support the Asian and Asian American communities. As always, although our reactions may be a little ridiculous and a little bit racy, they're always real.